Welcome back, guys, to another video. Today we're going to be looking at another old computer. No surprise there, but it's going to be one that was a predecessor to the IBM Portable that I've shown you on the channel, also called the IBM 5155. You can check that link right up there, if it even shows up. Probably won't. But this computer is rather special because it is what caused the IBM Portable to even be made and released to the market in the first place. Let's get out of the way and show you what it is. And the badge is on the right side. The Compaq Portable. The Compaq Portable was released in 1982 by Compaq Corporation as a IBM compatible personal computer. Now, this is the first commercially successful IBM compatible, and it had its own reverse engineered BIOS in there, meaning that it had nothing copied from IBM's code, which is what made the motherboard run in the first place, made all the I/O work and everything and such. Now, because of that, IBM wasn't able to sue the living fuck out of Compaq in taking everything for themselves, which is apparently a thing IBM did in the 80s. See, when the first IBM clones actually came to market, a lot of them were just copying the chips one-to-one from the IBM PC. And 90% of the time, too, they were copying the code word for word. So IBM was able to just sue them all in court. But Compaq got away with that, like I said, by reverse engineering it themselves. Now, you can see it looks like a sewing machine case, but there's a whole computer in there. A whole IBM compatible computer. If we put down the computer this way, tilt it back a bit, this thing's no paperweight too. This thing weighs approximately 24 pounds, and I have the Plus model, which was released in 1984, which came with a hard drive. So what you do next is you pull these clips inward, and then the keyboard pops out just like that. Take a look at that. Ain't that a beauty? So this floppy drive that's inside the unit at the time, I don't even know if you can tell because it looks a little dark to me, but that is not the original floppy drive, and I'll get started on that in a minute, but I'm going to show you the original floppy drive if I can find it. So here is the floppy drive that came with my Compaq, which I got a few weeks ago. Now, it's very clean, and I'll show you a very neat thing about this disk drive if I can find the disk. So now I'll show you what you do. So just take the disk out and pop it in like that. I don't know if you heard that, but there was a little click. So now the disk is locked inside, but now you have to turn down the paddle and it would start reading the disk if you had it running in the computer. And then when you push up on the paddle, your disk pops out. Very neat design. And this disk drive that's in there currently does not do that. Let me show you. So it's already in the open position and such, so you would just take your disk, face it on the position where the lever, or the lever I guess you'd call it, is facing, stick it in like that, and it's not locked or anything, you can just pull it out whenever you want. So you would push it in like that, and then push down on that lever head, and your disk drive is ready to be read. The reason why I switched that disk drive earlier is because the floppy controller on this computer died a few days after I got it. Now, I'm not saying it's because, the electronics finally gave out on their own age. It was kind of my fault. Now, there's something you gotta understand about vintage computers, or just vintage electronics in general. They're not guaranteed to work at all, sometimes when you get them. Sure, they can be maintained for their entire lifespan, but eventually the little circuitry inside is gonna give out eventually. That's what the thing is with this Compaq Portable. Everything inside was one-to-one original, except for the keyboard. The person who owned this originally had to go through and remove each individual key and redo the innards. So the keyboard on this machine is called a foam and foil. So how it works is you have your key here, you have a little metal pad on the bottom with the keyboard, which would receive a short from the key pressing on it, and that would give you the character that you sent to the computer. Now, it isn't ideal because the foam does dry out and just fall apart after a few decades and such. And that's what happened with the Compaq Portable keyboard here. But this man went out of the way and redid the entire keyboard, and you got to commend him for that. taking the time out to really take care of this machine. On top of that, he also added one more addition to this computer, which was a sound card. And let me just show you that by showing it on the side here. This machine had a very nice way of showing off or even hiding its I/O ports, input-output. So right here we have this little sliding door. You push on it and then you go down. And here's our I/O. Let me zoom in on here so you can see specifically each port. So what we got down here is the Compaq Portable's 5 expansion ports. Now the IBM PC also had 5 expansion ports when it was first released in 1981. But after the second model, the IBM PC XT came out, that was expanded out to 8 ports. But this one was more of a copy, but a compatible version of the IBM PC, so they stuck with the same 5 expansion ports so you can add whatever card you needed. The thing is, PCs in the 80s weren't built like modern computers. Let me get a modern motherboard to show off what I mean. So here we have a somewhat modern, about 10-year-old PC motherboard, I guess we would call it. So you see it's got all the stuff you'd expect in the back of USB, graphics ports, VGA, DVI, more USB, Ethernet, sound adapters or sound, ports and whatnot, and even a PS2 for mouse and keyboard if you still use those old peripherals, and of course your expansion ports here, but they've really limited these down, especially in a lot of cheaper motherboards nowadays, so you hardly even get one in like the cheapest PC you find from like Dell or whatever. And then you got your little mini port here for PCI Express if you even have that. Now most of them are going to be occupied by the graphics card. If you have some sort of business workflow machine, it'll probably be something other than a graphics card, but what do I know? Now, you also have, of course, memory sticks and everything like that, power and everything like that, all your jumpers on here. That's not the case with the IBM PC. You were lucky that they gave you even a keyboard port, and that's really all you got with the IBM PC. So, in order for you to have a fully functioning PC, if you wanted to, communicate to other devices, run your floppy disks, or even like attach like a tape drive or SCSI or other kind of devices, you would need to get a specific expansion card for your desired purpose. So this here is actually the floppy disk controller. This here is the video card, which actually controls the monitor inside the unit. You'll see that later. This here is the hard drive controller for the added on hard drive inside. You'll see that as well. And this here, I added this in just a week ago. This is an ArcNet card. This is like Ethernet before Ethernet was really a mainstream thing. We'll get into that later as well. And then slot 5, you can't really see slot 5 well from here because of the lighting, but if I tilt this up a little bit, you can barely make out a gray card edge. So this is what the man who owned this computer previously installed inside, and that is a sound card. On the other side, let me close that up, so we'll deal with that later. And then here's the other side of the computer. This thing is really no joke with the weight. And this here is your power plug. Now this little divot here is actually for you to fit the power cable for this inside, so when you're on the go, and you can hold the handle up and, lug it around. That's why these were called luggables. And then laptops obviously superseded these. Enough talking about the specifics of this computer. Let's get it out and ready for it to actually boot up some software. Now, in order to do that first, since the floppy drive controller, like I said before, did die, we're going to have to replace that, and thankfully, I have the replacement right here. Alright, we got the light on in the back, so you should be able to see a bit more clearer here without more shadows and such, because, not the best little camera we got here, but let's get started. Gotta be more careful than that. Here we go. Not bad packaging. It's a 4 out of 10 on my scale. Alright, we don't need you anymore. Go back to hell from which you came, you fucking foul beast. Alright, so here is our new floppy controller, which will be used in place of the original Compaq's floppy controller. Let me show you this one here, thankfully it came with a cute little rainbow cable. So this here, let me get that in view. This here is a Seagate ST02 floppy controller / SCSI controller, or SCSI. I don't know how to actually pronounce it. You tell me in the comments if you care to. But like I said, this is a hybrid controller card for both floppy disks and SCSI devices. So that means one thing for me, I won't have to use a meager 5¼ inch floppy disk, which can only hold 360 kilobytes of data per disk. IBM PC XT compatibles from that era can only support up to 360K floppies unless you had a high density controller card, if I remember correctly. So what we can do with the SCSI controller is, let me get my thing. We'll be able to use a device such as a SciQuest removable disk drive in order to transfer information from a semi-modern computer over to the Compaq Portable. How are we going to do this? Well, I'm glad you asked, and it's going to be rather simple. We're going to be using one of these adapters, which is a 50-pin port like this, which will connect to the internal header on this card, out to these gigantic 50-pin Centronics ports, which will be able to be plugged in to the back of one of these SciQuest drives. Now, ignore this piece up here. This is a terminator. Before we get started installing this thing into the computer, we're going to take the time and remove this beautiful little rainbow cable, and we're going to put this in its place so we can be able to connect to this device. I think this should work. Hold on. These are both female ports. I have a connector somewhere for that. Oh, excuse me. Let me look for those first before I continue, and then I'll be right back. Alright, we got the floppy drive in finally after that very quiet time lapse, so I'm just going to turn it on like this and see if we get any response from the floppy drive controller. If not, we know we need to actually adjust the jumpers. Alright, well, we got a blinking light on the monitor. That's good. Hard drive seeking. We'll see if we get a floppy drive error. There, we got it. Hey, we got something. Error 401. But the floppy drive seeked, so that's good. I have to look up what error that number is, though. Look at that. Ha-ha! Floppy drive works, baby! Woo! Oh, that's good. Yeah, this is the original Compaq disc that would have been shipped with this system, if I remember correctly. So if we run demo, it's going to actually boot up a basic file, which you'll be able to see show the Compaq logo in a second. Look at that. Ain't that fucking cool? Isn't that the coolest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life? I think it is. And it's gonna just show off this little graphic. Like, it'll tell you about your system, and also let you play some games, build some built-in games, and telling you what you have. So it's gonna detect what you have on your system with this. Let me just turn up the brightness, a little hard to see. So it detects 1 disk drive, 0 printer port, 0 serial ports, and no game adapters. So yeah, pretty bare bones. It can't detect the sound card, and there is no I/O on here. And just put out of that, and we should be able to actually go to the C drive now from the floppy. I love how noisy that sounds. Where's our... Oh, there it is. I had to turn up the brightness. There we go. We could go to C. Huh? That's not good. Shit. Let's see if I pull out the diskette drive. That's a hard drive controller failure. Fuck! I just realized. Fuck! Alright, it's been a day. Because I kind of slept last night. And so we got the floppy drive controller working. The jumper has been configured correctly to work with both the hard drive inside and the SCSI controller. Obviously there's no SCSI devices connected because I can't really shove this gigantic cable through the side of the computer. So we're just going to boot it off of floppy, and you'll see that in the work now. And let's turn it on. First, let's get our boot floppy for Compaq's original MS-DOS copy, so it's booted in the correct operating system. .401 error is still there because there's still some confliction between the SCSI card and the hard drive controller. There we go. So there we go, Compaq Portable DOS, Compaq Personal Computer MS-DOS version 2.12. So you were able to see the LED for the hard drive come up. That means that it recognized the hard disk, so we can access that, give it a dir command, and have us tell us what's in that drive. And that's about it. We would, if the SCSI card was recognized, or the SCSI interface built into that floppy card was recognized, you would have seen a screen for the BIOS version, but I would have to redo the jumper on that again. So that's all good and swell. Now what we can do is take out this floppy disk, and I'm going to get us a game that we can play on it. Alright, so this disk I got on Facebook Marketplace a while ago, and this is just chess. You can't really see it well on the corner there, but this has a copy of a chess game that you can play on your computer. So let's put that into the drive, directory, and there it is, chess, auto exec. So this actually had its own version of MS-DOS, which would automatically boot it into the game, but you could just still run it off from here. So I was typing chess, and there it is. So it's going to ask you if you have either a IBM branded card or a Hercules graphics card. They had a bunch of different cards at the time, but this one supports 2 different modes. So we'll do IBM Color. Obviously it's not going to be in color because it's a monochrome screen, but you will still see the graphics show up either way. Check that out. Oh, you can't even see it that well. It's a little bright on the screen. How's that look? Okay, you can see that a little better now. So you have a timer on here, as you know a normal chess game is, so I could make my move, so I could choose whatever piece on the board. So let's see. Oh, you use the num keys. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the other chess game for the Osborne, which you could only use like a grid pattern, like A2 to B6 or whatever the hell. But this one you can actually use the cursor keys. My mistake. So then I think you just hit enter. Yeah, okay. That's how it works. Yeah, I forgot. A bunch of the games, you know, not all the games were the same, but still very cool either way. So this one is a lot faster than the one on the Osborne too, which is really nice. And look at that, you're playing chess against someone. Well, the computer.
And then on the side here, I just noticed it actually gives you the grid formations. Let me brighten that up so you can see a little bit. Hopefully that's not too bright on this screen. I don't know. Well, yeah. And, you know, it's really, it's chess. You would play chess normally, but, really quick. I think I'll do it. And then bring you right back to DOS, right? Yeah, there it is. Back of the A prompt. And that's it. That's it for the floppy drive. We got that working again. So I'd say that is a pat on the back for me for swapping a part out, I guess. I took out the ArcNet card too, because I really have no way of using this, especially in this year, 25. Because nothing uses ArcNet anymore. It's all Ethernet. And there's probably a interface card I can get that uses USB and I can do a Wi-Fi thing with some stupid coding. I don't know, but we're not using this anymore. And I had an idea for replacing the hard drive or swapping that out with something else because it only has a 10 megabyte capacity, which is accurate for mid-80s. Capacity for hard drives was abysmal, but I want to try and make this thing tricked out circa 1989, like on its last legs before everything was wiped over by 486s and, you know, AT386s and stuff. So I was considering using the SCSI interface for the external drive for SideQuest drives, but I wanted something internal at all times. So I was thinking, where the fuck did I put those cassettes? I was thinking, why not tape storage? Tape storage has been around for a long time, since the 50s, and it only got smaller and smaller up until the 2000s. So there was this little median point between gigantic reels and tiny little data tapes that you'd shove in for archival purposes. And I thought, why not for random access data, well, random access, like a hard drive, why not we use 8mm cassettes? So there was this company that was actually building data drives for 8mm cassette tapes. Now this is just a normal 8mm videotape, and you could use one like this as long as it's a metal particle tape. Now one like this one's the high capacity, 120 meters of tape. This would get you about 2 gigabytes of formatted capacity on one of their drives. So I'm thinking of swapping that out for the hard drive, swapping the hard drive out for that, and that'll be connected via the SCSI interface, and we'll see if we can boot off of DOS from a 8mm cassette tape. Now that's going to be saved for the next video, but thank you for watching this. As usual, let me shut this guy down. And thank you again for watching this video. Hopefully you'll see something cooler involved with this in the next one. Thank you for watching.